Hi, my name's Jordy, and I want to talk to you guys today about adoption. Adoption is really huge right now. I'm sure you all know somebody who has adopted, is in the adoption process, or was adopted themselves. Um, at voicefortheorphans.org, it says that there is 143 million orphans in the world. That is a huge number of kids that don't have a family. It says that if everybody would do something, that doesn't mean that you have to adopt, but if everybody would do something, we could change that to where every orphan has a family. Can you imagine a world where every child has a family and there aren't any orphans? There are so many countries that you can consider adopting from. International adoption is where you adopt from a country outside the United States. There's Bulgaria, there's China, there's Jamaica, Guatemala. I mean, there's so many different countries that you can choose from. So many of the orphanages in those countries lack the means to even provide for those kids. So many of those kids are going hungry and without food and without water, and they're in unsanitary situations that just aren't safe for those kids, and we need to get them into a safe situation, into a loving family. At ilikegiving.org, there's a story about a family who has adopted probably 8 kids from different places in the country, and they all have special needs. One boy specifically is from Romania, and he was born without arms. And in a country like Romania and in several other countries, a disability is considered a curse from God. And so the kids with disabilities get pushed to the side and do not get taken care of whatsoever. This one little boy, he was at 1.5 years old. He only weighed 9 pounds because the orphanage just kind of disregarded him and pushed him to the side and just kind of pretended like he wasn't there. He didn't get fed when he needed to get fed. He didn't get loved on. He didn't get taken care of whatsoever. Maybe international adoption sounds like way too much to even handle. You could consider domestic adoption, and that's adopting in the United States. And there's so many different ways to go about that. I mean, there's, teen moms who had a child too young and just can't afford to keep the kid. And you could go that way. Or there's so many kids, older kids, that, are in the system and they need homes too. And international adoption, when the child hits a certain age, they get kicked out of the system and they can no longer be considered a ward of the state. It's usually at about 16, at least that I know that's what it is in Jamaica. And at 16, they're on the streets. And they cannot be adopted, they cannot be taken out of that country, and so they're there for life. And most of those kids join a gang or just get into terrible situations, and most of them end up getting killed. There are so many challenges to go with adoption, and I know it's sounds so scary to bring a child into your home that you don't know, that the child doesn't know you, and they're from a different country. They don't know how things work here necessarily, and you're having to look at the entire world and choose one child that you're gonna love and take as your own. That's so overwhelming, I know. But I think the outcome of that is so going to be worth it. You're going to have a kid that you're going to love for the rest of your life. Expenses are a challenge. Adoption is so expensive. There's so many expenses that come with it, especially if you're doing internationally. But if you feel like you can't afford it, there are so many other things you can do besides adopt. But also, there are so many organizations that people donate money just to help families like that want to adopt but don't necessarily have the money to do it. At my church, for example, we take up offering for adoption. We have Adoption Sundays, and that's where everybody gives to the families who are trying to adopt, just to help with the financial part of it. If you don't feel called to adopt, that's totally fine. I get that, that not everybody is called to adopt. But there's so many different things you can do besides just adopting. I mean, there's foster care, and I think most of you know that foster care isn't necessarily always a good situation. So if, you take in a kid that you might be really saving them from some harm and disappointment. There is donations that you can do. You know, you could be one of those people that sends money to families that are adopting. They're just volunteering in an orphanage, just spending time with those kids and loving on them because, you know, they've grown up without parents. I mean, they might not even know what it feels like to be truly loved. Um, I mean, so I guess with that said, just pick something that you feel passionate about within this, because I think it really is everybody's responsibility to care for these orphans and to make sure that they are safe and well and healthy and loved.